Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Buckeye Blitz podcast. I'm your host, Chad Stryker. Welcome back for Buckeye Friday. Firstly, I just want to apologize to everybody about not having Buckeye Friday last week. I have had some major technical difficulties with my PC, and so we are back. We're up and running. I'm glad to be with you. Thank you for taking some time out of your day. I hope you are having a good week so far. And if you could hit that like button, it will help with our algorithm with YouTube to surface our Buckeye football related content towards the top. And yeah, so let's just get right into it, shall we? There are a few things, I guess, that have changed since the last time we talked. The Ohio State had a spring practice. They had a bunch of in a spring scrimmage, and they had a bunch of kids in, different recruits from all over the country. And if you watch the video, there was the kids, their families, and just a lot going on last weekend. And they rolled out the red carpet for a lot of folks, one of whom was James Peoples, the number 5 national running back in the country. And he is ranked ahead of Jordan Marshall, who, as you guys know by now, has recently committed to Michigan. I don't know why. He's an Ohio kid, but maybe he liked the way that they run the ball up there. But regardless, breathe a sigh of relief. James Peoples is in the fold. He's a fast guy. Guys drip off his lower body. He has a powerful lower body. He can hit you in the hole. He has a burst, much like Curtis Samuel. I expect him to have a very prolific college career. I think it'll be better than Curtis Samuel's. He just has that it factor, and Curtis Samuel probably would have had a bigger use if they had didn't have some of the talent around them that they did. And I think Peoples will end up around 210. He's about 190, 195 now. So I think he'll round out about 210. He's not going to be as big as Zeke, but he has the look and feel. And some people have been comparing him to J.K. Dobbins, and I don't think that's a accurate comparison. I mean, I know J.K. was out of Texas, but I wouldn't put those two together. I really wouldn't watching them. I think Curtis Samuel's a better comparison. Secondly, I think they're going to take 2 running backs in this class. I fully expect Sam Williams-Dixon, the kid out of West Holmes, who's now at Pick North, to commit. They're only, with them only taking 2 running backs, and now with Peoples in the fold. Peoples is a very serious kid. He's a very thoughtful kid. He's a military kid. He's got family from Cleveland and Youngstown. I don't see that commitment changing regardless of what people are saying or, with NIL. I don't think he would have committed if he wasn't really in it and serious about it. So I think he's solid and a solid lock. And so I would expect Williams-Dixon to commit soon. Say soon-ish, sooner rather than later, however you want to phrase it, because Ohio State's still in on a couple kids nationally, Stacey Gage being one of them. And he could get left on the outside looking in if he doesn't accept that commitment, or make that commitment. So I know that things have cooled on Stacey Gage, but we are Ohio State, so fully expect a commitment from Sam Williams-Dixon soon. If you'll notice, I have a special guest in the background. That's Louie, the yellow lab. He just likes to be a part of things, and that's his spot on the couch. I do think that the Buckeyes are in a good place offensively with things. They just received another commitment from another 5-star wide receiver to add to the class. So they have Jeremiah Smith, and now they have what I think is the best wide receiver in the Midwest in Mylan Graham. So he is a 5-star. He's smooth. He glides in and out of his breaks. He's got a great get off. And he reminds me of Chris Olave, like his body type. He's 170 pounds. He's extremely explosive. He's not a big kid, like Chris Olave was not big when he got here, but he's just smooth and quick and makes things happen. So, what's funny is no one knew who this kid was last year in June, like at all. He camped at OSU. And Brian Hartline gave him his first ever collegiate offer, and Graham was basically discovered by Ohio State, and the writing has been on the wall for him to join this class ever since. but he's now a 5-star, a great prospect, and I think he'll be a great Buckeye. So excited to have him in the fold. Another wide receiver I fully expect to commit soon is 5-star Jeremiah McClellan out of the St. Louis area. He loves Ohio State, and Ohio State it has 2 wide receivers fully in the fold. I think they're probably only going to take 3, maybe 4 if they can get JoJo Trader. But right now, it's really looking like 3, and with Graham and Jeremiah Smith in the fold, McClellan should follow shortly thereafter. He would remind you a little bit, if you're looking for Buckeyes to compare him to, of KJ Hill. Not as big of a guy as, Olave, or not as tall as, Carnell Tate and some of these other guys, but great slot guy, catches everything, gives the defense fits, and he is a 5-star stud out of that St. Louis area. So watch for him to commit soon. And lastly, I saved the quarterback for last. So there's been a lot of chatter about Prentice Air Noland. He was in on Saturday for the scrimmage. He spent a ton of time with Coach Day and Coach Dennis. He was basically right there the entire time with them during the scrimmage, kind of taking in the offense, watching the play calls. And he is going to commit tomorrow night, Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If you'd have asked me on Tuesday, if it sounded like we were going to get him, yes, I would have said we were in the lead. And I think he's an Ohio State kid. And all of a sudden, later this week, Miami shows up and has dropped the bag again. And with some top of the line NIL money, at least that's the rumor that's being floated around the Twitter sphere. And so now I would give it a 50-50 toss-up. I do think that it would be a mistake not to come to Ohio State and turn yourself into a number 1 draft pick. But, everybody has to do what's right for them and their family. I've been on Air Noland for a while. I've been on that train for a while. I never really thought we had a shot at all at Jaden Davis. But if you'd like to learn a little bit about Nolan, I'll give you a few things. He's 6'3", 195. He's a lefty. You don't really know he's a lefty because his throwing motion is so fluid and smooth. It's not clunky like some of the left-handers. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the throwing motion of Steve Young, if you're old enough to remember Steve Young. Some of you guys maybe won't, but he does have a cannon. I would, if you wanted me to put him in today's modern terms of like, he looks to throw first, but he can run, and he kind of has top end speed. The person he reminds me of is Deshaun Watson. So that's kind of, where I see him. He's kind of a Deshaun Watson-esque person. He's up to number 7 nationally. I think he'll climb higher than that. He's a riser. He's going to continue to rise up boards. He's the number 55 kid overall in the class. I don't know what to think now with the NIL stuff. Again, if it was Tuesday and he was committing on Tuesday, I'd say he'd be a Buckeye. Right now, I'd say it's probably like 51% to 49%, 51% that he would be a Buckeye. Kind of crazy, honestly, because when he left Saturday, I thought for sure, like, dude was going to be a Buckeye. And I don't know why. In my mind, I know that money up front seems like a good idea, but man, if you're throwing to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and some of these other wide receivers that we have, I don't know why you would go to Miami, but kid's got to do what's best for him. So anyways, moving on. Defensively, both Aaron Scott and Bryce West were here at Ohio State as well. They'll be visiting again at the end of June. Ohio State gets the last visit for both of them on their official visits. They are going to take their visits. I don't think they're going to commit anytime soon. I think that you won't know until after the last weekend in June where they're going to go. If you ask me for a prediction, I'd say for Bryce West, it's Ohio State and everybody else. I don't think that's going to change. Michigan is after both these kids as well. Bryce West, I do think that he will be in the fold at the end of the day. Aaron Scott, it's a little harder to read. He is taking his visits. He says all the right things. I like Ohio State in this as well. I think, if you listen to Bill Kurelic too, I think he's leaning that way. I think that the two of the best defensive backs out of Ohio, and I don't even know how long. It's been a while since I can think of us Ohio having two top defensive backs. So also Demarion Witten, the tight end from Glenville, was here. He's an OSU lean. He's a big rangy kid. I like him a lot. I think he'll fit in nicely with the Buckeyes. So that's really kind of the most of the update I have on that. So I wanted to get to some spring practice and scrimmage notes. Firstly, when Kyle McCord has time, he is on fire. Like, he looks the part. So, again, I'm going to apologize to Kyle McCord for getting caught up in the shiny new toy syndrome with Devin Brown and his mobility, because McCord moves around well in the pocket. Carnell Tate, what can you say about him, man? He is the next man up. He looks like the real deal. I know he's going to log jam there in the wide receiver room, but, man, he just makes catch after catch after catch, and it's fluid, and he flashes, and he's wearing number 17. So if you can remember another freshman wide receiver that flashed wearing number 17, that turned out pretty well in Chris Olave. So I have to be honest about this. Julian Fleming being out this spring has just kind of shown me what we were missing. And I like Julian Fleming. He's a nice kid. He's a good kid. He's he's a 5-star wide receiver, but we also know what he is now. So we know what he does, what he's capable of. And I kind of really want Brian Hartline to rotate Jaden Ballard and Carnell Tate in that spot. Because I think they're on par with him. And so if you're, Brian Hartline has said, if you're not on par or better, why would I rotate? Well, they are. And they bring a different skill set and a different top end speed. So I want to see them rotate. I think we need to take a good hard look at that. And I hope Brian Hartline, since he's, the offensive coordinator, maybe having that view will help him a little bit. Dallin Hayden looks fantastic. Mayan Williams looks fresh. And Chip Trainum just continues to impress. He had a 70-yard run, broke right through the second level of defense and was gone at the scrimmage, so he looks great. The offensive line looks okay. I'm still really worried about the right tackle position, but time will tell on that one. Defensively, so I would say also that the defense, kind of checking with the defense, it may not all be on the offensive line, and I don't think it's entirely on the offensive line because the defense is playing fast and aggressive. The D-line has gotten multiple sacks in the scrimmages, and it definitely looks like it's finally all coming together for them. Kenyatta Jackson looks like a one-man wrecking crew. And Caden Curry continues to fly around with his high motor and make plays. It's exciting to see that out of the defensive line. JTT looks the part. Jack Sawyer looks to be like he's so happy. Like, he just looks like a kid in a candy store. He's finally back in the position he wanted to be in. He's got his hand in the rubber pellets, not necessarily dirt. So that's great to see. Tyquan Lewis looks like a different kid this year. He's ready to go. I think I mentioned they had a lot of sacks. I think they had 8 over the weekend. So not all on the first team offensive line, but some against that second team. But that just tells you that the second team defensive line is, looks like that rotation is up to snuff. Still concerned about the defensive tackle depth. Ty Hamilton, is really the only other guy in that rotation. I think you may see Hero Canoe, maybe, if he's ready. But I haven't heard much about him, in scrimmage, and haven't seen a ton out of him when I've watched the scrimmage film. So just a quick note. So 6-year senior, super senior Josh Proctor, We all like Josh. I think he's a good kid, great player, big hitter. But Carnell Tate kind of made him look a little bit silly. And I don't know if Proctor was just kind of playing out of position because Jahard Carter is injured, but Carnell Tate had a couple big plays against him. So Jahard Carter recovering from that knee issue. I think he'll be back sooner rather than later. But that's it. That's kind of my update. I know this was a little bit of a longer video. Thanks for sticking with me. Sorry about the delay in content. I'm going to continue to work through some of these issues that we've had. And I'll be, continue to put out more Buckeye content. I may not be up to twice a week yet, but I'm going to work back up to that. So thank you for listening. Thanks for your time today. Next Saturday, in a mere 8 days, we'll be back in the shoe for some actual football for the spring game. So I'll see you there. It's looking like 80-degree weather and sunshine. I'm excited. Can't wait. So I really hope to see you there. Tickets are $10 at the gate, $7 beforehand. There's some premium seating if you can find them on StubHub. But that's it. Until next time, see ya. Happy Easter. Go Bucks.